sports, beta, and gear, particularly in Las Vegas. Desert Rock Sports. All right.
My wife thought I had a death wish when I took up climbing.
At what age?
38.
At 38.
I was extreme skiing. I thought it was getting too dangerous, so I started rock climbing to learn how to rope it. So my wife thought every time I went out, good chance I was going to die. So then what I did was I took her out to show her. I had herbal aim on every route. I'd do first ascents with herbal aim. I'd rat down, clean it, do another one. And that's how we did it. After a while, she realized I was chicken just like everybody else, and I wasn't taking any chances.
And so she has always been supportive.
She was always supportive of it, yeah.
Did you ever get injured? And
Oh
was she
yeah,
ever
I
concerned?
took a 90-footer once. I broke my fingers. I dislocated my elbow.
How did you take the 90-footer?
Below fell asleep.
All right. Now, how does a belayer fall asleep? What
Well,
were
he
you
was
doing the night
stoned.
before?
He was stoned. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I didn't know he was stoned.
All right.
We were doing a route in
No, it does look like a pretty sweet
Talkeets.
device.
And I had one move left before the belay, and I was going to do a bump move, and I thought, no, I'll do it static, do it in better stop. So my foot slipped when I went, turned over backwards, and apparently he was stoned and wasn't paying attention and let the rope go. So, but luckily we were 5 pitches up, 4 pitches up.
Luckily.
Yeah, because I went past him. If it would have been one pitch, I'd have hit the ground.
Oh, you just took up the slack and that was it.
He didn't even do that. No, he was tied at the other end of the rope. That's what stopped it.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Wow.
What happened was I hit a ledge early, bounced away from the cliff, and it saved me probably.
So you weren't injured that bad.
I was pissing blood and stuff.
I'm sure you punched him in the face when you.
No, I actually finished the route. I didn't even know I was injured. I finished it. It was 4 more pitches. I finished it off. We get back to the car, and then I went to take a leak, and I was pissing blood, and I realized I had burst my kidneys.
Whoa.
Torn some muscles in my back. But no, I just never climbed with him again because I didn't trust him.
And that's how it is. Trust. It's like that's fundamental in so much. It's like another corporate life.
But he was a great climber. It's just that he was. I didn't realize until later. Somebody told me he was always stoned. When we would go out, I always thought he was just a slow kid because he talked like, "Hey man, look at the sunset, man," and stuff like that. And he was just a fucking idiot.
Doesn't matter. It's this is for personal consumption, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But yeah, so let me just tell you, my wife was just hearing some great stories about the brotherhood. Okay? She's like, why do you always meet people the most interesting and most interested? You know, and I said, hey, they're part of the brotherhood. You know, you can figure it out. And
But any sport has. You have to have something. Climbing, skiing, marathon running, something because of work. If you don't have some outlet, you will go crazy. I've always had an outlet. I raised a family.
that's what I wanted to hear right there.
Yeah. You have to
That's
have an
it.
outlet. It doesn't have to be any specific thing. You could be growing roses or whatever. You know, but the bottom line is, if you don't have some kind of a release, you will go nuts at work, whatever your job is. See, with me, it's I'm still dealing because I want to, and not because I have to.
You're good at it.
And I'm good at it, but the bottom line is, I have things to do. I'm a good skier, I'm a climber, you know, and all these things. I have always had something to do.
All right, so let's change gears. Now, how old are you?
I'm 7.
7. Now, when you go out climbing, what do you look for? What's your quality
Well,
day?
it's always been, my passion has always been long moderates. No matter how good I got, or how strong I could climb, I always preferred long moderates. 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", 5'7", as long as they were classic. So I've always done, you know, 20 pitch routes, 15 pitch routes, you know, shit like that. Epinephrine I've done 9 times. Rock Warrior I've done 7 times. Sour Mash I've done 30, 40, 50 times maybe. I love those kind of climbs because they're not so intense that you can't appreciate what's around you. When you're doing dangerous, really hard stuff, you tend not to see what's going around you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're so focused on not falling or not screwing it up that you basically
Cool.
don't see the trees because the forest is
So,
because of the trees.
can I ask you this? I asked myself a question rhetorically when I was doing, what were we doing the other day, Jace? We were doing olive oil, right?
Yep.
So, Bill, Jason, we were doing olive oil, and I found myself, finding a no-hands
See you,
rest.
Wendell.
Hi guys.
See you, buddy. Good talking to you.
Same here, man. I still have my bottle of wine.
Ah, nice.
I don't have the scotch anymore though.
I got scotch.
Yeah. So here I am.
Later, guys.
I find a no hands rest. I'm there for a moment, and I kind of look to my side and I go. So here I am right now at this moment at total peace. Why can't I find it down there?
I think because of focus. I think it's like when you go climbing or skiing or something you enjoy, you don't even think of your normal day things. Like, I had a wife and kids. My wife was not a nag. She was a great girl. She put up with all my sports, and I was a fanatical at everything. I mean, I whitewater kayak, I windsurfed, I rock climbed, I was a good golfer, I'm a good skier, all these things. She always supported that because she knew I needed that outlet, And if I didn't have it, I'd go crazy. Literally, I'd go crazy because you can't just go to work and save money to retire. If you do that, you're wasting your life. You have to have a passion for something. It doesn't have to be athletic either. It just has. You just have to do something. I mean, I used to be I would very rarely sleep. I mean, I'd sleep well, but I wouldn't sleep long.
So tell me, like your wife, your children, are they still in the picture? Or you?
My wife passed away 4.5 years ago
Oh man.
from cancer. My kids are all athletes. They're Cat 2 and Cat 1 racers, bicycle racers.
Great.
So yeah, they're real good athletes. They're great skiers and snowboarders. So
Did they get into climbing?
yeah, they did it because when I was climbing with John Long and Lynn Hill, they were hero images for them. So they climbed because of that. Once they moved, they only did it to pacify me basically. But to be honest with you, I'm glad they didn't.
Why's that?
If they'd have gotten hurt, I'd have felt,
Right.
or killed. I'd have felt, that it was my fault. And when you're young, you take more risks.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So I was concerned about them.
So why did you start climbing? What was your?
I was extreme skiing. I was climbing mountains to ski down with no ropes, solo. And some of the stuff we were skiing, if you fell, you died. And we were sitting on a peak one day, and I said to my partners,
Where's this? What peak's that?
Charleston,
You're kidding. Okay.
How's it going?
I said, it's just a matter of time before one of us gets killed doing this. So I said, some of the shit we're doing
Were you snowshoeing up there? There's no lift, was there?
No, you had to front point crampons and ice axe.
And work your way up long before the ski place existed.
No, ski area was there. I just did it
Go beyond.
And then I went to avalanche seminars and other mountains I would climb to ski them. Helicopter skied in Canada a lot and stuff like that. So then I decided to go take a rock climbing class up in Aspen, Colorado.
Because it was easier than extreme skiing.
Well, no, it was more to learn how to rope in because I wanted to be able to belay each other when we were doing some of these mountains, instead of soloing with no ropes.
Right.
So that's what we
safer.
Yeah, and we wanted to learn the safest way to do it because we were really doing dangerous shit. So then we went to Aspen, and my intention was just to go to school to learn how to rope in.
What year was this?
78. So we got to school, and of course, I'm so terrified rock climbing, that I'd almost throw up my breakfast in the morning. But at the night, I was brave again. I was so brave after, oh man, undercutting, side pull, and all this shit. Babble like an idiot. And then when we'd go to climb, I'd be scared to death. Now we're driving back from Aspen, all of a sudden, I forgot all the fear. I'm thinking of all the fun we had. I mean, I'm thinking, I can't wait to go climbing. We drive to town. I don't even go home. I go straight to a climbing shop and bought everything they had.
This is in Aspen.
No, in here, in Vegas.
What shop was that?
Highland Outfitters.
Are they still around?
No. In fact,
So why are you here in this shop?
Well, friends of mine,
Yeah.
basically. But when I got to Highland Outfitters, they had 64 carabiners on the wall. I told them, I said, Nick Nordblum was about 17 or 18 years old. He was the manager, real good climber. I said, I want all the beaners you have. I got 4 different size packs. I got every piece of gear they had for 8 climbing and free climbing. Atriers, Jumars, ropes, 2 pair of shoes, 2 harnesses, 2 everything, because I was going to drag somebody out to go climbing. So that's what I did. And I said, I'll be back in 2 days. And I came back in 2 days, I had it piled up on a counter. I took it, and I went straight out to Red Rock and started climbing.
Who'd you drag out there with you? First time around, you remember?
First was Jimmy Mira. He's dead today. He died of cancer 15 years ago. And Rocky Parabia. We were the skiing partners and climbing partners. So we'd draw straws, draw sticks to see who would lead. Well, I didn't know Jimmy was short strawing, so I was leading everything. And so I'm getting first ascents from day one. Of course, it would take forever because to commit to a move, you have to convince yourself to do it. But we had so much fun.
What was that route, day one? Did you guys go
The
easy,
first
or-
time it's called lie detector. It's probably 5-6. We did it in 3 pitches. It's a 1-pitch route.
Awesome.
Yeah. But, I mean, it might have been 130 feet of climbing, but it probably took us all day, you know.
And it's like that's part of the journey, right? It's the
Oh, yeah.
approach, it's the-
I mean, it's so... The numbers didn't mean anything because we didn't know what numbers were. I
so
mean,
what about some of your, you know, the guys who share the pantheon of first ascents here? You know, in
well,
this
Richard
community?
Harrison, Paul Van Batten, Salman Mutzia, Nick Nordblum, Arne Bob Finley. Our group was our ethical climbing was free stance bolting, run it out if you couldn't get a bolt in free stance, no power drills, just hand drill. So our routes were more dangerous because they were, and there was no hanging. You couldn't tape, none of that. You couldn't do that.
So you would take the drop and then
You know, you take a fall. You never. I never even heard the word take until 17 years after I climbed. Some guy said take. I didn't even know what he was talking about. He looked at me. I said, "What the hell is he
so
talking
who do you climb with now?
about?" Mike Meoli. Another one I taught him in Dark Soul. He's I took him 3 years ago. He's climbing with you.
Cool, man. That's good. I can't thank you enough for sharing.
Yeah,
My
the thing about
family
climbing.
will dig it.
Yeah, but the thing about climbing is, it's a passion you have, and you can make it as safe as you want, and you can make it as dangerous as you want. In fact, you were talking about Peaches. Peaches is the route that taught me not to solo. Because I soloed Peaches one time. I was doing a solo.
You just
I was
said-
doing
you
it.
told me that.
I was doing it undercling, and I'm thinking this is stupid. If your feet
Right.
slip, you're done. You're 130 feet up. If your feet come off, you're gone. So I pulled those moves off, and I thought, I'm not going to solo anymore.
So what did you solo up until then? Did you follow a path that led you to
What I
consider
do.
soloing, or what
This is
led
my
you to that?
my routine was drive to Willow Springs, ride my bike around the loop, park the thing, boulder, wait until somebody showed up, take them climbing. Nobody showed up, go solo.
So you soloed whatever.
I soloed easy stuff, spider line, Peaches, things like that. But that, but no matter how easy it is,
You were solo cat. and a hat.
I didn't do cat and hat for years and years. I've only done it twice, actually, all those years. Because by that time, when I was an experienced climber, I was probably doing harder stuff. It wasn't, we were more interested in basically new stuff, doing first ascent.
So what are some of the preferences people have now? Not so popular yet. Do you like to share belays? Do you tell people, hey, give me some space? Do you want to have your own little?
No, I think what you try to do is share. It's just like when you're leading a pitch. No matter how experienced I am or inexperienced you are, it's your lead. If it takes you 3 hours, don't apologize to me. Just do it safely. Take your time. Do what you think. Judgment's everything. If you use good judgment, you'll survive. If you get stupid because you're worried about somebody pressing you, then it's your mistake, not theirs. So whenever you go climbing, if you're slow, don't apologize to him. It's your lead, fucking. You know. It's like if he and I go climbing, we get to a pitch, he doesn't want to lead, I'll lead it. If I don't want to lead it and he doesn't want to lead it, we go home. There's no pressure.
Yeah, that's what's so beautiful about it.
Yeah, it's a sport that you don't have to be good at to enjoy. The guy that does 5:14 is not having any more fun than you doing 5:5. You know what I
Well,
mean?
how about the people who are doing 5:12, 5:14, and they would love to do a classic with you, but they're worried about the image?
No, they're more. That's a cop out because most of the time they don't know how to try climb. So they won't try climb because
they're
is their
sport
weak.
5:14.
They're only sport climbers. So a lot of times when you hear a person, yeah, I can do 5:14, but I don't try climb.
Interesting.
Doesn't mean that they couldn't do it. It just means that they haven't done it. In fact, Chris Sharma said he did a 5:11 in Yosemite. He thought it was the hardest thing he's ever done because it was trad. I'm not saying he couldn't do 14s, but it's what you do. It's what you can do. I mean, just because a person's a good trad climber doesn't make him better than a sport climber.
So let me just change gears. When you saw Jerry Hendrick's book come out,
I thought it was brilliant.
I
I mean,
totally
it's
like revolutionary, right?
well, I think because of the photographs and stuff and the effort he put in. I mean, the guy put in 10 years on it, so he deserves all the accolades. He did a hell of a job. I mean, there's a few
Did
little.
he consult with you on it? Did he talk with you?
Oh, yeah, they all do. I mean, they all kind of get feedback from you. Anytime they're doing a book, they'll always either sit you down or talk to you because I have a memory of things that will mean it. But they all do. I mean, but the reason his book is so good is he went and did most of the routes that he talked about. So, it wasn't like hearsay. He did. This guy knew what he wanted. So yeah, he did a pretty
You
good
ever
job.
climb with him?
No, not that.
Is he around? You ever seen
Oh
him?
yeah, he's here all the time. Nice guy, but I mean, you have to understand too is when you're a climber, you tend to go with your same level of climber. For instance, when I was a hard climber,
Bill says climb within your ability.
yeah, but when I was a hard climber, I climbed with different people than I do now. Not because of personalities, it's just I'm just not climbing hard enough to go do. If you're a beginner skier, you're not going to ski with some extreme skiers. Climb's the same way. You can go out and be comfortable on 5.7. I know guys that do 5.13s that love 5.7s, but I also know guys that if they're doing 5.13s, they wouldn't even look at a 5.11. Because their mentality is work a route until you can get it, which is not a bad thing. It makes you a better climber, but it's not something I like.
Yeah.
I never did it, so I don't.
Just hang dogging and figuring it out.
It doesn't thrill me to. I've tried routes more than once, and finally got them, but there was no. I wasn't pleased with it. It didn't feel like I learned anything from it. I might have learned something for that route, but it didn't teach me anything about climbing. And I'm not degrading people that do it. I'm just saying that it doesn't thrill me to do it.
So tell me about the psyche. There's guys who lead, and there's guys who will lead. Is there other guys who will never lead?
Oh yeah, I know a 5.13 climber never led one. His name was Dick Silly. Top roped every day.
Wait. That is his real name?
Yep, Dick Silly. Cilley.
Okay.
He absolutely could do 5.13 and never led, ever.
Did you ever bust his balls over that?
No, that was his thing. I believe in what you want to do, whatever you want to get out of climbing or your sport, that's what you did.
So
you
you
don't
showed
try to
up, you
please.
did what you had to do.
My goal when I took up the rock climbing school, when I got out of it, my goal was to be able to lead at my limit at all times. It didn't make any difference what my limit was. It could be 5.5. If that was my limit, I wanted to be able to lead the 5.5. So 90% of the routes I've ever done, I led. Okay. And that's because I didn't want to tell a person I'm a 5.11 climber when I top up to 5.11. I wanted to, when I told you I was this, you could bank on it. One time I was doing a route, I saw a 10A crack, and this young kid was on this 11B route next to me. And I led the 10A, lowered off and top rope my friends, and he asked me how hard a climber I was. And I told him, I said, I'm solid at 5'9". So he says, well, would you like to try to get to my high point? I said, no, pull the rope, I'll lead it. Now he's on 11B. He looks at me and I said, yeah, pull the rope, I'll lead it. So he pulls the rope and I'll lead the thing with no falls. So now he's pissed at me because I lied. I said, no. I said, you're telling people you're a 5'12 climber and you can't do 11B. I'm telling people I'm a 5'9 climber and I can lead 11B. But I can't lead all 11Bs. I can't lead all 11s in the world. But I can go anywhere, I think at the time, anywhere and do 5'9".
So, what about the places around here? We've got Keyhole Canyon, totally different kind of rock.
Beautiful.
You've got red rock. You've got Charleston limestone. What's
Okay.
your preference?
Well, if you do them all, you'll be a better climber.
Keyhole?
Keyhole's great.
You climbed it, camped there, the 9
I've
yards?
done the whole thing, yeah. I've done the
There's a
bouldering
bolt.
contest.
The first anchor when you walk in Keyhole on the left is about 50 feet up. Did you just
There's a little slab.
Yeah.
You like that, yeah.
What is that, like 5'10"?
5'9", I think. And you know, when you first walk in on the right, that little wall there, you can top rope every one of those routes. You just hike up to the top.
It's great. We should do that, man.
Yeah, and then there's a 10B up and left. There's a 5'9" hand crack to a bolt and face climb. It's really a good route.
Wow.
And then right in that little canyon, there's this beautiful.
It's all granite.
Yeah, there's a beautiful vertical 5'7".
So where's the granite? Is that the only granite within a 30-minute drive of Vegas?
I would say that, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The geology is
And there's a
amazing.
3-pitch route called
Up there?
White Cloud, yeah. It's not in the. Is the next one over?
Yeah. It's on the
The
other
big
side.
slab?
If you get over the hill.
See the big? No, not over the hill. When you're parked right at this one,
Okay.
if you look out, there's a big gray slab.
Wow.
It's got 3 pitches. It's probably 5'9".
Perfect.
But the first pitch is like 5'7" R. It's, you know, pretty long run out. But really good climbing.
So that's fun. That's granite. You've got
Yeah.
red rock. You've got limestone. What's your
Got
preference?
limestone. Well, I like red rock because of the long moderates. But to me, if you're doing, for instance, I climbed at my very best when I was gym, sport, boulder, trad. When I did them all, I was a better climber because the trad is a more mental thing. Sport is a physical. The stronger you get physically, the more you're relaxed psychologically. And technically, you'll do stuff because you're stronger. You know, you'll go for a move when you're strong, and you won't.
Was that yesterday or what? It was so true.
Yeah, I mean, but the great part about climbing is every lead is a new world. I mean, it's just absolutely new. No matter what lead, what grade, you might not be climbing as well that day. You might have done something 10 years ago that you couldn't even get on today. I'm that perfect example. I've done stuff that I wouldn't even consider getting on because I know I can't do them, you know, psychologically or physically. And not because I'm old, it's because I haven't done enough. You know, you have to be really in the game to push your limits. And I'm not in that, you know, I'm not in that category.
It's inspiring, man. So what's up tonight? What are you up to?
Just a night off, relaxing, go skiing tomorrow at the weekend.
Nice.